to be as a single part or to act as a one body. So that's why we call that complex system. Okay. Uh, so now the question is why I bring this topic CLIOS into the transportation, because in this session we will also cover that what was the strategy in 1942, and then how the transportation engineering has been revolved with the passage of time, and why the system is still adopted, and the all the developed countries, their system is actually integrated and designed through CLIO system. Okay, so if you do not understand what CLIO is, so you cannot answer to the modern transportation system engineering question. So now we will also discuss that what we thought and what we still know about transportation. So then you will realize that we are far behind. Okay. So it's quite clear from its name that C is stand for complex, which means that we want to see the different perspective and angle of the different characteristic and function of that how we can bring different systems together. The second part is about the large scale. So whenever we talk about the large scale, we means that how we can see in terms of the geographic area along with the different impact, and how we can analyze the directly impact or indirectly impact of the according to the geographic area. The third point is about interconnected. So interconnected doesn't mean that each and every system should be connected, but of course it means that that how we can contribute and connect the multimodal, which consists of all modes, starting as we already discussed in the very early lecture. So how we can bring all the multimodal to connect and act for each and every travel, for each and every traveler is a one body, is a one unit, and that should be open. What does it mean by open? Whenever we will talk about open, okay, we will go in into one by one in a very detail, okay, but just to give you a little bit brief idea in this very like in this very early slide, okay. So open means that we would like to see that what will be the social and political and economic effect of the same multimodal, which is interconnected, which is again working at a large scale, and again which is composed of a complex system. Okay, so whenever we talk about the socio-technical, so you can see from its word, it's quite clear. This is basically consist of the two major element. The first is the social and different integration, and the next part is consist of a technology and technical. So what is the importance of technology, and also how we can recognize the impact of technology in terms of the social integration and relation. So now we are moving to the very first one, C, which stand for complex. Okay, as you can see here, there are four basic elements within complex. Whenever we talk about complex, complex only doesn't mean that we how we would like to see the perspective of like management and sciences and engineering. But what does it mean by management? What does it mean by engineering? Okay, so whenever we talk about structural complexity, as you can see uh, that structural complexity is considered as one of the internal generated complex structural behavior. Okay, so mark my words, internally generated complex model, which is basically that how we can measure of a different component in network which could work as a one system, is a one body, is a one unit. Okay, so for example, if you would like to ask a kind of a example, so I would put it in like this way. If there is a computer model or simulation model or like coding model, okay, so there are three different stages to complete a single step. Okay, so when we would like to see that is it uh, kind of completed. So if you bring a changes, so like for example, maybe some of you already learned about the C++ or like C language. Okay, so when we use there the command of a if, or like we use the loop command. So loop command means that what will happen if for example you can see that if the electricity is switched off, so this is one condition. So then what we should do, so then again switchly move to the renewable energy. Okay, so again we are trying to use another command. Okay, again, if the solar system is the backup is also over, then the third option is, for example, generation or like something else. So this is mean that we have a statement which is composed in a three different ways, and we would like to bring it into the single command. So if you make a changes in any stage, for example, in like one if or in the second or in the third, so that will be quite hard to work for the system in the way it should be. Madam, is it clear? ओके, स्ट्रक्चरल कम्प्लेक्सिटी अगेन मींस कि अगर हमारे पास कोई भी कंप्यूटर सिस्टम है, उसमें से हम लोगों ने कोई भी चेंजेस कर दिए और वो सिस्टम कंपोज्ड ऑफ तीन डिफरेंट पार्ट्स पे है, तो अगर हमने किसी एक सिस्टम के अंदर भी चेंजेस कर दिए तो पूरा का पूरा जो सिस्टम होगा दैट विल बी काइंड ऑफ अ ब्लैंक और लाइक ब्लाइंड, और वो काम नहीं करेगा. नेक्स्ट पार्ट इज अबाउट बिहेवियर. Okay, so what will be behavioral complexity? When we talk about the behavior, the ability to predict behavior of the system in a way through which we can fit the system together. Okay, so it's quite difficult for the CLIOS system. We don't know about, and we also cannot predict the behavioral or structural level. So it's very difficult. Okay, so that means that when we talk about behavioral, that means that we are referring toward the externalities. So behavior is quite hard to predict. Behavior could be positive or could be negative. And again, this is very hard for the system to predict and understand, and how we can put the different elements together. So that's the reason that the behavioral complexity plays a very important role at the very early design level. Okay, so the next part is about the evaluative complexity. Whenever, I'm sorry, Ali, we have a little bit issues with that, so this is not working. Do you have a USB? USB? No, sir. I'm sorry, I don't have. So the third part is the about the evaluative complexity. We already covered the first two part of it, the structural and behavioral. Okay, so structural means I will again just repeat it for you because you came a bit late. So that means when we talk about the structural, so we would like to refer it towards the different components or the elements. But you can later on you can see if there is any issue, so you can listen to me. So we would like to see that how basically the system functions. Okay, system functions mean that if you would like to bring different network together, so how it could behave and it could function. Structural complexity, in a simple word, you can, if you ever heard about the C or C++, okay? Yes. Sir. So whenever we use the loop command, okay? So for example, if we have a power cut or like power failure, so use that specific situation to use the current from the direct DC or AC. So if there is a power cut, so uh, directly switch to the like alternative or like renewable ways such as solar or like wind. So again, if we have a outrage in that specific part of the solar, so again directly switch to the generator. So if we bring changes in any of those three stages, it will be quite hard for the system to function as a one unit. This is means of the structural complexity in the CLIOS system. Okay. The next part is about the behavioral. So again, behavioral complexity means the ability through which we can predict behavior of the system in order to put all the difficulties together to act as a one unit. Okay. Again, in a CLIOS system, we don't know about behavioral on a structural level, it's quite hard to actually predict. Okay, so behavior could be can be negative or like could be positive. And again, this is very hard for the system to predict and understand and how we can put different things together. The third part is about the how we can evaluate complexity at the design level. So this is basically uh, the way of different stakeholder, decision maker, designer, which could vary with passage of time. Okay, so that's the reason we call it evaluative, which means where we could bring changes with passage of time. Okay, so how we can solve different questions of such as behavioral complexity, but again will be very hard to, for example, discuss whether we should decide according to the stakeholder or not. So again, that means that the stakeholder in decision, they will never put their money in their all assets in, for example, if they are not getting their money back. So that's the reason we call it the evaluative complexity. सिंपल मकसद ये है कि जितनी भी स्टेक होल्डर या डिसीजन मेकर्स होते हैं उनकी इंटरेस्ट जो होती है वो चेंज होती रहती है, वेरी होती रहती है with different scenarios. As a planner, as a decision maker, we cannot predict their uh, that कि वो क्या सोच रहे हैं, what they are basically thinking and what they will do or what will be their final course of action, something like that. Okay. The last part is about the nested complexity. So nested is the way through which we would like to see the interaction between different structural, behavioral, and evaluative, and to bring all of those three important elements in a single domain to work as a kind of an institutional sphere or institutional part, which could merge structural, behavior, and evaluative together. But about the nested one, we have a little bit in a very detail. So as you can see here, whenever we talk about the nested complexity, that means that we would like to see that how the system is designed in the layer system. Physical system means that the system which you can see, like you cannot see the behavioral complexity, the structural complexity, or the evaluative complexity, because it's the the final output of different decision maker, of different decision of a different stakeholder. But the complexity we can see because it's more based on the quantitative and qualitative principle. जब भी हम qualitative या quantitative की जब भी हम लोग बात करेंगे तो quantitative, Ali, do you remember what is the difference between both? नहीं नहीं, आप मेरे ख्याल में गलत जा रहे हैं. यहाँ पे हम लोग we would like to see that how we can bring different systems together, but whenever we talk about quantitative and qualitative at a decision level, so in a qualitative we would like to see that how the personal observation or the experience of a person or how people think or like respond. For example, if I tell you something like harsh or like rubbish, so what will be your final response? The way how we respond to like different thing is basically the qualitative one. But when we talk about quantitative one, so quantitative means that which is completely rely on the statistical data जिसके पीछे एक complete background हो, which could be seen in a different way so that we can build the system which could allow or adopt the qualitative or the quantitative way. So this is the very first part. We also would like to analyze that what engineering and economics model there. As I already mentioned that whenever we talk about nested complexity, nested means the different layer of the system. Here the stakeholder and decision maker, he can see his interest, his gains, and also his investment. So for example, no one is actually fool if he can, if a businessman will never do something like invest somewhere where he cannot see his like revenue, his profit. So again, in the nested, the first point is about that when we would like to see the physical system, we would like to see that how different quantitative principle and engineering economics model are basically functioning. The next part is about the policy system. Okay. In the policy, we again would like to see the different observation in terms of the qualitative approach along with the stakeholder evaluation and analysis. Stakeholder means who? Those who would like to invest in that specific project. Decision maker, okay? Those people who are directly or indirectly benefit from that specific project. The next part is about different methodologies are required, okay? So when we talk about different methodologies, so again, that how we can bring the changes in the physical domain or in terms of the, for example, you would like to bring the reduction in the air quality, okay? So this is the way how we can use different methodologies, okay? So again, when we would like to reduce the air quality, so this is internally based structural complexity, external based model. So through which we can generate different policies and physical system through which we can really reduce the air quality. The next part is about the large scale. Okay, Ali, are you with me? Whenever we talk about the large scale, as you can see here, we have a very amazing example. Okay, so the first part was about the complex. The next part is about the large scale. Now, large scale means that we would like to shift different type of a, for example, take example. So in that specific slide, they explain that how we can transport nuclear fuel, okay, from like source point to the different, like such as we have one site at Karachi port and Chashma side or like Chagi or like somewhere else. So where our nuclear is basically. So this is in the nature, nuclear fuel is highly toxic, radioactive substance. And again, no one want to be around. So this is our constraint, Ali. So this is our constraint, okay? Highly toxic, radioactive substance, and no one would like to go there near, like either by the people who are basically working there. So this is a one constraint. But the vision is how we can bring it from the source to that specific point, okay? And we would like to also see that in the geography and what will be its kind of extent. So for example, if I would like to draw it from here, it will be, for example, this is our port one. Okay? So we would like to bring it to our nuclear site, which is 500 kilometers far from like that point to that point. So now the question is a transportation maker, is a transportation decision maker. So is your system is strategically organized that it could take from port one fuel to that specific nuclear plant. Again, that specific material or like bulk or like item is radioactive and very harm in nature. And again, no one would like to be there, either employee or the people who are actually transporting that thing. So now the question is, does the system have that specific capacity? Now, this is the purpose that how we can bring the large scale like issues within our design. So mean design doesn't mean only in the 7 or 8 slide you will see that we are still at the era of 1942. This is not 1942. This is 222. We are still planning for origin to destination. We are far behind. That's why I brought this CLIOS system to this introduction transportation system course specific subject so that you can understand as a transportation system designer that what are the elements which we should think. If you remember that CLIOS terminology in your life, you will never forget anything, okay? Complex, large scale, integrated, and then we have the open way or the through which have different capacity in the systematic systems. What come again? So we have the complex, large scale, interconnected, open, and socio-technical. Complex, large scale, interconnected, open, and socio-technical. Okay, so as you can see here in that large scale transportation nuclear fuel, how we can put the institutional machinery. Ali, listen to the word, okay? How we can put the institutional machinery to put together to move this thing happen within those constraints. Institutional machinery means the system. When we talk about CLIOS, so large scale and then multimodal, which is interconnected, which connect everything. Interconnected means multimodal connectivity. But again, we have 5, 6, 7, 8 constraints. So does our system have that specific capacity? No, it's a decision maker. It is a designer. You need to see that this specific project you are part of that will serve is a national level, is a federal level, is a state level, is a city level, is a community level. So you need to see, and you can bring down those clues as well, according to the design parameters. That doesn't mean that we need to be, for example, if you are planning for like something within city level, so you also think about transporting nuclear plant. No. But if you are part of something which is basically the state level, like what is going on with the ML1, with the CPEC project. So at that level, if you kind of violate those issues, again, this is not mistake, this is blunt. Mistake is something else. Mistake which you do something without intention. But if you are a designer, if you think that the country's state is in your hand, but you actually forgot this thing because of your ignorance, because of our lack of education. That's the reason we are still lying in 1942. But you will, with passage of time, you will see that. So again, at the large scale, we need to understand, we need to organize the institutional, physical, operation in management level to see that how those things actually. The next part we have the interconnected. Okay, so this is very much important when we say about interconnected. Interconnected means multimodal. Okay, we would like to see that how much overall energy is consumed by any mode, such as road, railway, ships, cargo, etc., and what will be its role with energy in global climate change. Okay, so two parts here. The very first one is energy. Without energy, can we move? Without fuel, can we move? No. So you just came from home, right? So if your vehicle doesn't have energy, like in terms of fuel, octane, or like petrol or like diesel, will you be not stagnant? Yes. You will be again static. Yes. You cannot move. So means that the energy have that capacity which bring the one is dynamic, one is dynamism, which revolve the system. Okay? Which revolve the system. So just imagine if there is no fuel in the universe, so what will happen? Will we not be back to the Roman time? Yes. Where there was still the horse driven or like maximum the camel driven something vehicle like that. Yes. So again, you will cover the distance of 100 kilometers in like maybe 1 month. So you need to understand that the system you are going to build in the future, what will be its energy demand and how much it will contribute to global climate energy change. So also you need to understand that, like, for example, if you remember nowadays we have one slogan of a hybrid car, electric car, right? Just imagine from where that specific energy is coming from. By converting the fuel, we just put it in the very big diesel engine, and which produce electricity. Yes. So again, we have a one saying in our mother tongue in like Pashto is when you want to measure the tail of a donkey, either from like both end, it will be 1 inch. So again, you need to see, for example, what Netherlands is doing, what Germany is doing, what Austria is doing. Of course, from November till March, there each and everything is freeze. Like it's a very crazy snow up to like 1 to 2 foot. But again, they have converted about 32% of their resources to completely like renewable wind energy, solar energy. If they come up with hybrid car, I'm with them. But if the country like underdeveloping or like, for example, like some other countries like many like US, Pakistan, or so on, if they talk about hybrid, I would call it a very big kind of hypocritic stunt because I think first we need to change the way of living in the way from where we are going to generate the electricity. If you are not honest enough to change the source, it will be really hard. It's again a person went to a diet doctor and he told him, sir, it's very hard for me to leave the carbohydrate. So once I eat the bread, I cannot lift the rice. So he says, but both contain like carbohydrate. He said, I already told you that I cannot leave both of them at like one time. So again, but as an engineer, as a system engineer, you need to understand that if you think about the CLIOS system, okay, which is still practiced in MIT, in Harvard, in Portland State Universities. No, actually the system is built on like that thing, on like CLIOS. And this policy was actually originated in 2001, 2002. Now all their designers, their stakeholders, their practices, their engineers are basically graduated through that specific system. That's the reason we are still in 2022, we are still at the level of 1942. Pakistan so we have a very basic issues. For example, if the like the 10th graduate or like 12th graduate person is about to decide my fate, I don't think so that where I could lead the. Sometimes I think that I've born in a very wrong area in a very wrong place. I'm sorry to say that, but I'm not very proud. Just वो कहते हैं ना वो हुजूम इस्तान वाला concept. बस रहे हो एक हुजूम की तरह. Yeah, you cannot deny facts. But it is if you I wish and pray that if you ever had a chance to go outside from like that country, so you will see that where we are. Of course, again, if the politician is about to decide to either build for you like road, no. For example, if they're offering something like food or shelter, but I don't need that thing. I need something else. That's the reason that in Germany, 47% people are actually paying their taxes of their income. 47% is the rate of the income tax, but they are part of every decision. Every decision they ask from the people, from the community. I think if you remember, I already showed you people that specific chart that how this thing works. So they have the local municipality, which is connected with the city level, again, which is connected with the province level, again, which is connected with the federal level. So means the decision maker or the chart is moving from the down, from the community, not from the top. Of course, each and everything, the power is in the hand of a federal level, but the decision maker is the people, the community. The federal always comes with a proposal that we have now in a fund we would like to build like multiplex or like playground or like recreation, then all those people who are basically within that specific radius, they come up on a specific day. For each and every project, they have their do's and don'ts. They have the advantages, they have the disadvantages in each and every aspect in the total cost. The people decide with the voting which project is better. That's a practice still in Germany, in Netherlands, in Austria. That's why they are proud. That's the reason. Okay, we are going somewhere else. Next part is about open. Okay, what does it mean by open? So we need to consider the three different type of a risk. The first type is social factors. That the next topic is about the political factors, which we call geopolitics. And the third part is the economic factors. When we talk about the social factor, we need to see that what is the kind of a fundamental risk. How do people perceive and absorb any type of a specific risk? For example, if we talk about a bit of urban problem, so you are in a decision maker. This is the path, and this is the way from there your feasibility is basically about to be built in future. You connect A with B. Okay? So we actually merge and divided this specific part into the two one. So either people will consider that social risk. What does it mean by social risk? Because before that feasibility line, that was a single unit. All those people, they have interacted in community services and integrated networks with each other. But when you draw that line, you actually convert them into the two different areas. So now as a designer, you need to understand, will the people will accept that social risk? That kind of, you can call that the long distances within their relation. So as a designer, you need to understand the thing. Second part is about political factors. As you know that whenever different people, they have different mindset, they have different visions and responsibilities and so on. Ali, have you heard about Xinjiang province in China? Xinjiang. Xinjiang is basically the Turkish dominant where they have more Muslim people, okay? Muslim inhabitants. What happened before Xi Jinping? That part was completely ignored. The people were like kind of course, they have the one-party system, which is called Communist Party of China. So they usually decide they don't have democracy. They have the party roles and party power within the country. Before Xi Jinping, that those people, those elements, with the help of other external elements, they were a bit more aggressive against Beijing, against administration. What President Xi Jinping, why the history will remember him is the great king in the history of China, because his vision and mission is completely different. The first thing is he had a PhD in political science. And he actually passed it one road, one belt project, which connect and which went through all those areas which were against the state. So he provided and he created the job opportunities to the people. All the people who were against is now pro of the government. So this is the geopolitical decisions which change things. For example, I was listening to one speech Donald Trump final ceremony, and he was proudly saying that I'm the only president in the history of US who didn't start a single war. He never sent troops to any. And I call him a realistic person. Yet he did some like, but this was his kind of, we can bring them in the behavioral complexity, which is again we already mentioned, which is the heart of a different people, that how they will actually behave when you will tense their surrounding, their situation. But this is again, but if you see him is a decision maker, is a stakeholder of the US democracy. So he never start any war. So this was his political factors, that he was a person of a vision who was against the war. No, he brought many soldiers from away to the US. He told them, no, this finish the war. We actually lost a lot of, okay, we have a million and billion, but they spent trillions. You could imagine. 11 lakh container सिर्फ आए थे, 11 lakh container from Karachi put to the Bagram Airways. Could you imagine? Okay. So again, so political factor involvement is very much important. It's like what we had practiced in Pakistan as well in the 3 to 4 year of the Imran Khan era, where he started the billion tsunami tree project. So, like for example, Muslim League group is a bit more the pro-industrialist. Zardari wants the system to be like just function. So each and every political figure, they have different kind of mindset. So again, in the transportation, in the open connectivity, you need to consider all those factors. Okay. So the last part is about the economic factors or economic factors development. So you need to understand that what will be the per capita income, because most of your economic factor is very much important while doing and bringing the political figures along with the social. For example, if you talk about Pakistan, where the people are not that much mature, they even don't know about their right, and I think they have very less right of them according to the constitution, or maybe which is in the daily world, which practice in a very limited way, in a very confined way. So you can imagine. But if we talk about the economic factors of a per capita of a single person, so this is again very much involved with the city, with the country decision as well. So open means that you need to consider the social risk, you need to consider the political risk, you also need to consider the economic factors. Any questions so far? Okay, the next part is about, so now we reached to we did the complex, we did the large scale, we did the interconnected, we did the open, and now we reached to the social technical. Okay. In the socio-technical approach, could you imagine from the word, Ali? Socio-technical. Do you know what does it mean? This is basically the social elements, and this is the emergent of the technology. Like for example, its best example is Android availability of a cell phone in fact. Like you would like to see that what is the relation of the technology in terms of the social perspective. So you are basically trying to analyze the social and technical aspect in the system to function and how that specific system will function. For example, if we have a technology, okay, so while you are driving, maybe very less people have idea about ITS, right? Yes. Intelligent Transportation System. Very less people have idea about sensor. Yes. Very less people have idea about the camera. Very less people have idea about the speed guns. So these are the technical or the technology. What is speed gun? Speed guns. Speed guns, through which we can analyze or detect the speed of a car. If you maybe sometimes you observe, they usually stand when there is a curve, so you cannot see something like more than 500 meters before. Example, this is a very short curve, right? You are moving from here. We have 2 to 3 things, which is called the visibility limit. So you can only see here up to 500 meters, right? But they are here. So their laser guns are actually directly targeting that part. So if you want to decelerate within 500 meters, they already basically detect your speed. So if, for example, if you are moving at a 140 kilometers per hour, and they already like put you here, mark you here, like there is that's called the red flag in that specific speed. Okay, so they just detect you here. So they start from here. They give you signs. Take a sign because you are already detected, and at least 100-meter distance will take you to decelerate from 140 meters by 0. So that's the way through which they can detect your speed. Okay. Okay, so motorways, usually on the motorways. No, they have different ones. They have the secondary, they have the territorial, they have the autobahns. Autobahn is no speed limit. The Porsche and Lamborghini and BMW, the latest one, they have a speed of 340 miles per hour. Autobahn. You can search it today. The road without which move without speed. So you can go whatever you want, but you cannot go like less than 140. Yeah, you can move. Like the distance between France and Germany is about 700 kilometers. If you're moving at a speed of a 300 kilometers per hour, so you could imagine that you could be there in 2 hours, I think 10 minutes or 26. Okay. Yeah, they are somewhere else. Ali, we need to somewhere. Yes. We need to actually, awake from that specific. We are still 120 kilometers per hour. No, now you will see where we are. Okay, so this is a very important process. Okay, so now what we already learn about the CLIOS, that the system should be kind of connected and that should be linked or interconnected or open or socio-technical. So how we could bring all those parameters in different stages, in what are our key ideas or what we want to kind of detect from those ideas. Like, for example, if I talk about the representation, so what will be our key ideas that how we can understand and visualize the structural behavior, and what will be our output that how we can provide the different issues, the different goals identification in like journal, etc. So that means that whenever we will talk about representation, that means that can we break out the physical domain into kind of a relatively independent system, and what will be its technical, economic, physical, institutional, and social aspect. Ali, did you get all my words? Okay. Whenever we talk about representation, we will try to analyze, visualize, and understand the different parameters such as technical, economic, physical, social. Okay, clear? The next part is about design evaluation. In the design, you can see here that we would like to bring the improvement in the system through CLIOS. Okay, so we have the different development bundles of a strategic. Okay. So we have different type of a administrative things, so through which we can bring different like improvement. But what is the role of design evaluation? Okay, so look, this is basically composed of a three different words. The first part is about it, how we can design, how we can evaluate, and how we can select. So means that we always have the capacity to enhance and improve our system. So how we can combine or bring all those strategies, alternative to improve our system. In this stage, we actually look at how different strategic alternative change the system performance. So when we talk about different performance, we means who? Ali, could you imagine? We means who? We mean decision makers. We means stakeholder, we means designer in the second part. So those are our people who basically change our design and evaluation. Okay, so means that we should keep in touch that the system should reach to the physical level, to the physical output. Okay, so for the purpose that how do keep stakeholder, decision maker, cost performance could play in could play its role. The last part is about implementation and adoption. So that means that can through organizational management, the system achieve the target, or which is we call also the KPI, which is the key performance indicator. So how do these performance improvement gets implemented, and what compromise or what composed in the implementation actors, organizations at the structural levels, which could bring the strategic alternative to change the monitoring and performance. Okay, so we have the three basic system in the CLIOS: representation, design, evaluation, and selection. And the last part is about the when we would like to apply and adopt, which I would like to explain a bit in detail. So uh, the infrastructure is again divided in the three different parts. The first era is called infrastructure era. The second part is called transportation system era, while the last part is called that how we can bring transportation is a CLIOS system era. Okay. As I mentioned in each and every slide, those contents are used from MIT Open and Portland State University, USA. Okay. Okay, so when we talk about the infrastructure era, this we can call it the traditional sense or the traditional way of living in the field of transportation, where all the decision makers, their main priority was that how they can build, right? That how they can build or how they can only facilitate the people from origin to the destination. And their main focus was on the physical facilities. So like for example, that this construction will be from concrete, from bitumen, or from super elevation, or what type of new materials you could use. And the next part was about that they were focusing more on the mobility. When we talk about mobility, so means that they were only moving from origin to the destination for the purpose of a economic growth, jobs, and so on. And then we have uh, this purpose, this era in 1950 to 1942 to 1960. This was again used that how we can move without congestion, and through that thing that construction we could bring or foster the economy development as well. While the last part is about that how different models could be connected, such as airports, railways, and so on. Okay, Ali, all those slides are mentioned in that slide. Okay, so you can see here infrastructure reader. This was all about all those points which we already mentioned. So like first of all, they were like only building what they want, and they were focusing on the physical abilities. and then focus on mobilities and so on, all the aspects which we already mentioned. The next part is about the transportation system, Ali, let me know when you are finished. Let me know when you are done with that slide, because that's very important. The next part is about transportation system era, which was starting from 1960 till 1990. Okay, 1960 till 1990. I think we are still not in a transportation even system era, but now you will understand that what actually connect in the transportation system. So that specific enterprise was, sorry, you can see now here. So that specific enterprise was based on the economic framework, okay, which were which should be designed or like mathematically construction through which the supply function could be fulfilled, the demand function could be fulfilled. We could also bring the equilibrium or like balance within the system and the networks. So when we talk about supply, so means demand and intersection of different capacities and capabilities will give you production of actual volume on a different particular networks or like mode of performance. Okay. The second part is focusing on the economic development and environmental concerns. Supplying the needs of people. Of course, because whenever we have a demand, for that to fulfill that specific demand, we try to organize a system. And through the system functions. So if we are paid on the demand of people, so what will we do? What will we do? Well, if we are paid in with the demand of people, so sir, what will we do to change? So we can change our system. Change or look, there are 2 to 3 things which you need to consider. Your system may fail if you did not collect the input. For example, whenever we invite people at our home, so we know that how many are coming. So we put there a factor of 2 or 3 more. For example, if 10 guests are invited, so we usually cook for 15 people, right? But that doesn't mean that if you cook for 15 and you can entertain 50. This is also not possible. This stupidity could happen if you ignore all the existing information, all the surveys, all because whenever you're going to construct something, you should consider that what is your demand. The only thing is matter in our country is we would like to do this thing and this will be ordained. For example, अगर कोई भी सरकार आ जाती है, I already conducted few CPD, continuing professional development courses. So there were few people from like HEC and from PEC. So I always ask them, is it wise to build a country with a borrowed loan, with a borrowed money? Because if you are not kind of a self-sustained, if you don't have funds, then why you are going for that specific project? And why do we evaluate any of the political parties? यार सिंपल सी एक बात है, अगर मैं अपने घर की एक एग्जांपल दूं, मेरा एक एक बाल जो है वो लोगों का मकरूज हो और मैं वो अपने मोंचों को ताऊं दूं कि मैं घर का निजाम बड़ा अच्छा चला रहा हूं और हर एक चीज मेरी मकरूज है. Again, I'm saying that taking a loan is not a bad thing. One of my very good friend, he is serving now, currently is a director analyst in a state bank. Currently, he is based in Kashmir. So once I asked him the Balkut region, and I asked him, I think the taking loan is very bad. So he told me, no, it's not bad, but it's in the sense of a Pakistan. जब हम पाकिस्तान को देखते हैं तो पाकिस्तान के लिहाज से वो ठीक नहीं है, क्योंकि हमने वापस नहीं थे. If you don't have anything to give it back, and you are doing everything for the political scoring, then where the country is leading. यार आप इस तरह करें ना अली साहब, अपनी किसी भी सेशन को आप ले लें, इसको आप एनालाइज करें नेशनल असेंबली को, और आप देख लें इफ दे एवर टॉक अबाउट 20% अगर इन लोगों ने ना इसके बारे में बात की हो कि हाउ वी विल क्रिएट मोर जॉब्स, हाउ वी विल फीड मोर पीपल, स्ट्रेटेजी। मैं कभी कभार वो ब्रिटिश पार्लिमान का बड़े टाइम से थोड़ा बहुत फॉलो करता हूँ, तो आप उनकी थोड़ी सी डिस्कशन सुन ले, वो अक्सर जॉब क्रिएशन की बात करते हैं, टैक्स रिटर्न्स की बात करते हैं, बिल्डिंग हाउसेस की बात करते हैं, और हम लोग इसने ये कर दिया, इसकी शलवार पोशाई, इसकी शलवार। अभी आप देख लेना क्या पूरे मुल्क में लास्ट एक वीक से मैं न्यूज के कभी कभार देख लेता हूँ, वो बाय डिफॉल्ट आ जाते हैं। मैं कभी कभार बैठा होता हूँ ड्राइंग रूम में, हाँ थोड़ा सा देख ले क्या पाकिस्तान के ये छोटे छोटे मसले इतने बड़े हैं कि इस पे नेशनल इंटरेस्ट लगाया जाए, या इनको नेशनल मुद्दू ये मुद्दा बनाया जाए। थोड़ा सा देखना चाहिए ना कि क्या हम ठीक डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हैं, तो ये सारी इशू। और जब कोई कहता है ना कि पाकिस्तान में रूल्स रेगुलेशन, मैं तो बिल्कुल इस चीज पर नहीं हूँ। अगर रूल्स रेगुलेशन होते तो 76 सालों में मुल्क का ये हाल हो। तो देख लीजिए ना, अगर वो हमारी मिसाल ना, वो मैंने एक कॉलम में लिखा था कि हमारी और एग्जांपल इज लाइक the cancer patient who is suffering from the stage 4 cancer, और जिसमें आपका रिलीजन, हमारा रिलीजन इस्लाम भी उसको मॉर्फिन की इजाजत देता है। डू यू नो मॉर्फिन इज मॉर्फिन मेडिकल टर्मिनल, और एक कैंसर के लिए एक आती है जो 200%, जिसमें से वो ज्यादा एक्टिव होती है एज कम्पेयर टू अफीम। हाँ, जो लेकिन वो बड़ी प्रिस्क्राइब्ड मेडिसिन होती है, जो बहुत ही लिमिटेड अवेलेबल है पूरे मुल्क में, और बड़े प्रिस्क्राइब नुस्खे के मुताबिक देती है, क्योंकि अगर किसी मतलब ड्रग्स एडिक्टेड लोग अक्सर उसको लेते भी हैं, डिफरेंट मीन्स दे यूजुअली गेट इट, लेकिन जो लोग बेचारे तो हमारी एग्जांपल उस कैंसर पेशेंट, वो जो तड़प रहा है स्टेज नंबर 4 से, उसकी जितना भी मॉर्फिन हम इस्तेमाल करेंगे ना, एट द एंड उसने कहां पे जाना है? कब्रिस्तान। हमने कहां पे जाना है? डेड एंड। जब तक आपकी ये वाली सोच बदलेगी। आपने अक्सर देखा होगा ना, आपकी क्लास में आप थोड़ा सा एनालाइज करें ना, क्लास 10th में, पीसी में, फिर बीएस में, वो लोग जो अक्सर लास्ट में होते हो ना, आप फिर 10 साल या 20 साल के बाद आप उनको देख लें, शायद एक टाइम आपको फील हो क्या ये लोग मुझसे ज्यादा स्टेबल, कोई पॉलिटिक्स ज्वाइन कर लेता है, कोई कोई की, मतलब किसी और सर्विसेज में चला जाता है वगैरह वगैरह में ना, आपको लगता है यार ये बंदा भी यहाँ तक निकल गया। असल में इन जैसे लोग ही अच्छे से सिस्टम में वो फिट हो सकते हैं। क्लियर हो गया कि नहीं? अच्छा, तो इकोनॉमिक बेस्ड फ्रेमवर्क, जिसमें हम सप्लाई, डिमांड और इक्विलिब्रियम को देखते हैं। ट्रांसपोर्टेशन सिस्टम, आप एक दफा फिर से अली सुन ले कि which is based on economic framework means that the system should be enterprises or designed in a way through mathematical model construction through which we can fulfill the supply function, the balance function, or bring the balance function or the equilibrium function, and also play is a economic role as well. Okay. इसमें से अब सेकंड पॉइंट है कि फोकस ऑन इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट एंड एनवायरमेंटल कंसर्न्स। आपको मैं, जो आप लोगों का नेक्स्ट सब्जेक्ट है C802, उसमें हमारा एक सेशन होगा लैंड अवेलेबिलिटी। एक तो ये है ना कि फॉर एग्जांपल आप हरिपुर शहर में, आप कभी पेशावर गए हो लेवी अभी रिसेंटली जब से बीआरटी बनी है? नहीं गए? अच्छा, एक दफा आप गए थे। अब यहाँ पे एक कंस्ट्रेंट था कि ये रोड बनी थी 1983 या फिर 1991 में, थोड़ा बहुत इसकी एक्सटेंशन हो गई। अब जब पीटीआई की सरकार आ गई तो उन लोगों ने वहां पे बीआरटी का प्रोजेक्ट लॉन्च करना चाहा, राइट, in the name of a mass rapid transit. I was also serving in the local government in BPSC 18, the transportation engineer, 2015 में। फिर मैंने जॉब छोड़ दी 16 में। बस वो मैं थोड़ा सा कभी के बाद फिट नहीं होता ना सिस्टम के, तो क्योंकि जब वो अक्सर बात करते थे they were at the secretary level, all of them were almost like bureaucrats, so they usually come up with that we are thinking, we are doing। तो मैंने उनसे पूछा कि have you ever traveled in the local public transport of Peshawar in the last 1 year, in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years? तो वो तो 21 22 ग्रेड के सारे वो थे, वो पता थे, तो they should offend those things। फिर मैं उनसे कहता था कि नहीं जी, आप लोगों को अगर चीज का आइडिया नहीं है तो हाउ यू कैन कम अप विद अ सजेशन? आप किस तरह कह सकते हो कि मैं सोच रहा हूँ? आप किस तरह सोच सकते हो? गलत सोच रहे हो। मैंने कहा पहले आप थोड़ा सा सिस्टम को एनालाइज कर लो, उसके बाद फिर आप देख लो कि किन लोगों को चाहिए क्या। तो बस फिर आखिर में हमारी बीआरटी फिर बन गई। आई एम नॉट अगेंस्ट दैट, लेकिन मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि जो 22 से 24 अरब रुपए लग गए, क्या ये एक मौजू जरिया था? इंजीनियरिंग में भी जब आपका लेवल थोड़ा सा आप मजीद चीजें गेन कर लोगे तो देयर इज अ स्ट्रेटेजी। कभी कभार आप सर्च भी क्या करो, MCDM, मल्टी क्राइटेरिया डिसीजन मेकिंग एनालिसिस। जब भी हमारे पास कंफ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट आती है तो हम उसको थ्रू डिफरेंट एक्सपर्ट, सारे के सारे एक फील्ड से, थ्रू रैंकिंग सिस्टम में इशू को रिजॉल्व।
एक हब बनाते, टेक्निकल जोन बनाते, साथ रोड अच्छे हो जाते।
मैं जस्ट सिर्फ ये कह रहा हूँ ना कि अल्टरनेटिव देखने चाहिए। हम लोग जो फिजिबिलिटी स्टडीज देते हैं ना सिविल इंजीनियर, तो हम कहते हैं कि ये अल्टरनेटिव 1 है टू कनेक्ट ए विद बी, दिस इज अल्टरनेटिव बी टू कनेक्ट ए विद बी। रूट ओरिजिन और डेस्टिनेशन हमारा सेम है, सिर्फ वे ऑफ डूइंग थिंग्स चेंज हो जाता। अल्टरनेटिव 1 2 3 4 5। आपने वो मेरा कॉलम तो पढ़ा था ना, बीआरटी प्रोजेक्ट ऑफ अ डे और मोर?
सर वो नहीं पढ़ा।
पढ़ लो ना।
स्टेटमेंट पढ़ा?
नहीं वो आप पढ़ो ना, ये बीआरटी प्रोजेक्ट ऑफ अ डे और मोर, फिर आपको थोड़ा सा आइडिया हो जाएगा ना। यहाँ पे बीआरटी के एंट्रेंस बने हैं, दैट पार्ट इज अ बॉटलनेक। नहीं समझे? जहाँ पे हमारी एग्जिट बनी है ना, कि मैं अभी वो फुरकान का खेल के साथ मेरी जो ऑफिशियल वो हुई थी ईवीटी फाइबर पे और पीटीवी पे, वो मैं आपको दिखा दूंगा, लेकिन फर्स्टों में है लाइव। मैं ईवीटी उस पे मैं वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल गवर्नेंस के मुख्तलिफ प्रोग्राम्स अटेंड करता था ना। एडवाइजर ऑफ केपी के सीएम महमूद खान, फुरकान का खेल, तो आप उसके ब्लंट रिमार्क्स देख लो। फिर वो आखिर में ये कह के खामोश हो गया कि सर मुझे इस प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में इतना ज्यादा आइडिया नहीं है। And he was representing the KPK government and that specific program। तो ठीक है, ये बहुत बड़े बड़े टॉपिक्स हैं। अच्छा, नेक्स्ट पार्ट इज अबाउट दैट हाउ वी कैन फोकस ऑन बोथ मोबिलिटी एंड एक्सेसिबिलिटी। पिछले लेक्चर में अली आप लोगों को मैंने बताया था कि मोबिलिटी और एक्सेसिबिलिटी में क्या फर्क है, क्या आप बता सकते हैं? अली, is there anyone online?